Hello my friends and family, guess what? This is a story of my brother who made me keep a deadly secret that I don't want anyone to know about, and what you will learn in that story will baffles you. Title: The secret my brother made me keep. I never thought I would be the one to say this, but the day I tasted that feeling for the first time, I knew something was wrong. I knew something wasn't right, but I couldn't explain it. I couldn't put it into words because I was too afraid, too shocked, too confused to even speak or scream or cry. It all began on a Thursday afternoon when the house was silent, when my mother was away at the market and the air smelled like ripe mangoes and forgotten promises, and I sat on the brown couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of the dreams I had the night before, but nothing could prepare me for what was about to happen, because when he walked into the room with that strange smile on his face, I felt a chill crawl up my spine, not because I was scared of him, but because I knew he was hiding something. I knew my brother was no longer just my brother, he was something else, something darker, something I didn't want to believe could ever come from someone so close to me, and yet he came closer. He sat beside me and looked into my eyes for too long. He spoke without speaking. He asked for trust without words. And in that moment I froze, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't move. I couldn't understand why he was being this way, why the air felt thick, why his eyes looked like they were holding back a storm. And when he finally opened his mouth and said what he said, I swear the world stopped turning. He said, "Promise me you won't tell anyone what I'm about to say. Promise me you will keep this between us forever." And I was too stunned to reply. I was too broken to speak, because deep inside I already knew that what he was about to say would change everything forever. I wanted to scream, I wanted to run, but I didn't. I just sat there like a statue, like a prisoner in my own home, because I never expected betrayal to wear such a familiar face. And when he leaned in and told me that he loved me, not like a brother loves a sister, but like a man loves a woman, my breath got stuck in my throat, my chest became heavy and my vision blurred, because I didn't know whether to slap him or cry or disappear into the couch. I remember asking him, "What did you just say?" And he repeated it calmly, like it was nothing, like it was normal, like the world hadn't just shattered into a million pieces around me. And then he asked again, "Promise me you won't tell Mom, promise me." And I nodded, not because I meant it, but because I was terrified, because I didn't know what else to do. The days that followed were a nightmare. I kept hearing his words again and again, in my head like a cursed melody. I avoided him. I avoided mirrors. I avoided my mother, because I couldn't bear the guilt that was crushing my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell someone. I wanted to erase everything, but I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat, I couldn't breathe properly, because every time I looked at him I saw a stranger in my house, a monster in my memories, and I knew I had to do something. I knew silence was not safety, it was slow death. So one evening when my mother was in the kitchen peeling yam and humming her favorite song, I walked in and stood behind her. I wanted to cry, but my tears refused to fall. I wanted to speak, but my voice was locked inside my throat. I wanted to run away, but my feet stayed planted. And finally I said, "Mom, I need to tell you something." And when she turned around and looked at me, her face soft and calm, I broke down like a dam. I told her everything, every word, every moment, every shadow that had followed me since that afternoon. And I watched as her face turned from peace to fire, from softness to rage, from disbelief to a storm that could destroy cities. She didn't say a word at first. She just walked past me like a soldier on a mission, and called his name once, twice, 3 times, until he appeared in the hallway, his face calm, his eyes curious. And then she exploded like a volcano, like a mother lion protecting her wounded cub. And the things she said cannot be repeated. The curses she unleashed were older than the soil beneath our feet. And she told him to leave, to vanish, to never set foot in her house again. She told him he was not her son anymore. She said she would rather be childless than live with a snake. She chased him out with her bare hands and slammed the door shut, and then she sank to the floor, shaking like a leaf, breathing like a broken engine. And I sat beside her, both of us in silence, both of us ruined by a truth that was never supposed to be spoken. My mother did not cry that night, but I knew she wanted to. Her hands shook, like the branches of a tree in a storm. Her eyes stared into nothing, like they were trying to understand how the boy she raised, the boy she fed, the boy she defended could become a stranger, so twisted, so lost, so unforgivable. She didn't speak to me much, she didn't need to. Our silence was heavy enough. It was a silence full of broken glass, and I could feel every sharp edge cut into my thoughts, into my chest, into my sleep. The house no longer felt like home. It felt like the memory of a place that once held laughter, and now only knew shame and rage. The neighbors started asking questions. They saw my brother leave with his bag. They heard my mother's voice that night. They heard the words no one ever expected from her. They asked me where he went, and I told them I don't know. I don't care. I never want to see him again. And they looked at me with eyes full of whispers. But I didn't care, because if they knew what I knew, they would be burning their houses down too. Days passed and my mother still hadn't recovered. She cooked without tasting. She cleaned without seeing. She stared at the wall like it owed her answers. She never spoke his name again, and she told me never to either. She said he was gone, not just from her house, but from her life, from her heart, from her prayers. She said she gave birth to 2 children, but now she has only 1, and I didn't know if I felt healed or hollow, because part of me was still bleeding from the betrayal and another part was just trying to survive. But I couldn't escape it, not really, because he kept calling, he kept texting, he kept saying things that made my skin crawl. He said he missed me. He said he was sorry. He said he didn't mean to hurt me. And every time I saw his name on my screen, I wanted to smash it. I wanted to scream, because how could he still believe this was something that could be fixed? How could he not understand that some lines once crossed can never be uncrossed? One night I blocked his number, but before I did, I read one last message, and it chilled me more than anything he had said before. It read, "You told Mom now, I have nothing left, and if I have nothing, then nobody does." And I stared at the message for a long time, and suddenly I wasn't angry anymore. I was afraid. Afraid of what he might do. Afraid of how far broken people can fall when they no longer have anything to lose. I showed the message to my mother, and for the first time since that night, I saw fear in her eyes, real fear. She told me to pack a bag. She said we were leaving the house, for a while staying with my aunt in the next town, and I didn't ask questions because I could feel the danger closing in like smoke in a room with no windows. We left before the sun came up, before the neighbors could ask more questions, and as we drove away, I looked at our house one last time, and it felt like saying goodbye to a grave. My aunt welcomed us with open arms. She didn't ask too many questions, but I knew she knew something was wrong. She gave us her guest room and cooked for us, and told us stories at night, just to keep our minds from drifting into the darkness we were trying to forget. But even in that new place, I couldn't sleep, because I kept thinking, what if he follows us? What if he finds us? What if his last message wasn't a threat but a promise? My mother started keeping a knife under her pillow. She thought I didn't notice, but I did, and that made it harder to sleep, because when your mother starts sleeping with a weapon, you know the fear is real and not just in your head. And I wanted to be strong. I wanted to believe we were safe. But every creak, every knock, every shadow outside the window felt like it had his name written on it. Then one morning we woke up and found something on the front steps, a photo of me from when I was 12, a photo that used to be in a family album back home, and behind it, written in thick red marker, were the words, "Why did you ruin everything?" And my mother dropped the photo like it burned her, and my aunt started locking all the doors twice, and suddenly I knew he had found us. He knew where we were and he wanted us to know that he knew. The next days were filled with dread. My aunt called the police, but they said unless he did something physical, there was nothing they could do. They said we should stay alert and report anything suspicious, and that was it. Like, we were supposed to wait and hope he didn't snap, like we were supposed to live like prey, hoping the hunter got tired and left us alone. But he didn't get tired. He got bolder, more twisted, more desperate. He started sending letters, no return address, no fingerprints, just words that felt like poison on paper. He said we belonged together. He said the world was against him. He said he would make everything right again. And I wanted to throw up every time I saw his handwriting, and I wanted to scream every time the mailman came. And then one night, the power went out all at once, like someone had cut the wires, and my mother grabbed the knife and my aunt lit a candle, and I held my breath for what felt like an hour. We didn't move, we didn't blink, we just listened for any sound outside, any footstep, any breath, any whisper, and then we heard it, the soft creak of the back gate, the one that only opens if you know how to lift it just right. I don't remember who moved first. Maybe it was my aunt, maybe it was me, but suddenly we were all in the hallway, frozen in fear, and the candle flickered like it was scared too. And then there was a knock on the back door, just one soft knock, and my mother whispered, "Stay here," and I whispered back, "No," and we stood there like statues until the candle went out and we were left in complete darkness. Kindly like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more episodes.